Welcome back to the Abundance Alchemist, your quiet space to remember who you are. Listen. Can you feel the hush as the night leans in, the world exhaling, the walls between now and then growing gentle and thin? This is the hour when nothing stands between your heartbeat and the golden strands of everything you've ever touched, felt, or hoped for. Tonight, we're tracing golden threads, silent currents from your past that shimmer beneath the surface. Soft and steady, longing to be woven, there's a hush where the old stories rest, curled beneath memory, waiting to be seen by eyes that have finally learned to soften the story of you, not in pages or bullet points, but as warmth that lingers on a favorite sweater, as laughter echoing from rooms you've left behind, as footsteps in places only your dreams visit. It's easy to forget these threads when daylight is loud and logic is heavy. But here, within velvet shadows, you remember how every moment, even the ordinary ones, has been spun goldy. Perhaps abundance has never been about what you gain or gather, but about what you recall, honor, and gently retrieve from the quiet hands of your own past. The hush after laughter, the ache of longing, the sunrise remembered in colors language can't hold, these are your golden threads. As you settle in, let yourself listen for the story beneath your story. Not a lesson, but a homecoming. Not instruction, but an invitation. Tonight, your soul isn't asked to strive, only to feel, to touch the golden weaving that is and always has been yours. Let these words be a lantern. Let this journey be a soft remembering. You are right on time. You are already abundant. The night will hold everything safe while you wander home to the golden pieces of you. There is an ache, isn't there? Quiet, private, almost elegant in its loneliness. Not loud enough to shatter, but ever present. The kind of ache that lingers in moments when the room goes still, when even the clocks hush, and you catch yourself staring into the quiet, wondering if you've somehow lost the map to your own belonging. Maybe you remember a time before you forgot yourself. Maybe it was laughter in a warm kitchen or a night sky that made you small and wild and wanted all at once. There was a sense then of worth not yet tangled in memory or mistakes. There was a home in your own skin, but life happened. Words left hanging in air, disappointments never truly spoken, hopes folded away and pressed flat by someone else's silence. Somewhere in that tangle, your worth started living outside your body, on their smiles, on test scores, on the shifting winds of being enough for other people. You learned to measure your value in the way someone's eyes lingered, in work outshining your own needs, in shrinking beneath the weight of things never healed, never really named. And so the ache became a familiar shade, sometimes sharper, sometimes soft, a secret known only to you and the darkness before sleep. You try to outrun it, building, striving, performing, but it's still there, whispering in the shadows, asking gently, do you remember who you were before wanting their approval felt like oxygen? Do you remember the girl or boy or soul who simply existed, worthy by birthright, unburdened by all the became, tried, should have? Tonight, let's linger with that ache. Not to fix or silence or judge, just to hold it in soft hands, to say, I see you, I know why you're here. You came carrying stories never finished, tenderness dismissed as weakness, fears pressed tightly behind tired eyes. You came to remind me that forgetting myself is the only thing that ever truly hurt, and remembering is the quietest kind of miracle. So, and it's okay if tears press at your eyelids, let the ache exist. Let it stretch, yawn, breathe. Let it be what it is for now. No solutions, no detours, just presence, just compassion, just the slow midnight remembering that maybe your worth was never lost. It was only asking to be seen again in the soft silence where the ache lives. There is a secret river that runs through you. Sometimes it sings as hope, sometimes it aches as longing. Tonight it stirs with the memory of all you could have been, all the becoming you once believed was possible. Close your eyes and notice that ancient ache, not just for more, but for the fullness that was always meant for you. The room is gentle with darkness. There is no judgment here, only the inhale and exhale of your own spirit. Let yourself float in the feeling of wishing, a pure, childlike ache to touch the sky of your own potential. You once knew, without asking, that you were made for gathering golden moments and sacred surprises, but somewhere along the way, that knowing turned soft and quiet. Maybe the world asked you to shrink to make yourself small. Maybe old stories whispered that you had to do more, earn more, try harder, until simply receiving felt far away, as if worth was hidden in the endless doing. But the longing remains, patient, persistent, quietly radiant. The desire to reclaim all that was left behind, to remember the easy lightness that comes not from hustling, but from trusting you are worthy now as you are. There is a part of you that aches to be seen, to lay down the armor, to let the floodgates of enough open. Do you yearn to drink from the cup of your own abundance without guilt or delay? You crave the rhythm of receiving, not as reward, but as a birthright. You feel it in small moments. Standing before a morning window where the light touches your face, that gentle pulse under your skin when someone offers love and you almost let it in. Nights when you dream of turning back time, of taking the unseen paths, of becoming every shining version of yourself you once believed possible. This is not greed, not selfishness, it is holy longing bending toward wholeness. Maybe you've tried to quiet this desire with certainty, with planning, with lists and proof. But the ache does not belong to the mind, it lives beneath the bones, in the marrow of who you truly are. Tonight let your guard fall, the wishing is safe here. There is no rush to explain, no need to justify. Only softness, like sheets warmed by moonbeams, settling over your soul. Breathe with the ache. Let it say what words cannot. You are here because your spirit remembers that nothing precious is ever truly lost. All potential waits for you, quietly gathering behind your ribs. Receiving is a returning. Worth is an ancient truth humming just beneath your skin. Rest in the ache, rest in all you desire. Let every longing be a lighthouse calling you home. Sometimes, in the hush between midnight and morning, there is a ripple under your ribs, a restless tide whispering you might never quite become who you hoped. Maybe it starts as a tightening, a memory of choices unlived. There's the echo of a dream half planted, the ache of time running out, quick, quick, like gold through open fingers. This fear, it's familiar, even when it wears new faces. Sometimes it sounds like your own voice, listless and laced with doubt. Other times it wears the shape of a loved one's expectations, heavy as a world you never meant to carry. There's the wondering. As if you're only gathering evidence for your own failures, holding old stories tight because they're what you know. Some nights a quiet dread grows behind your eyes. What if you're building your life from almosts and apologies? What if you reach for more and find yourself lost in the reaching? What if there is no more time? You've outgrown so much, and yet familiar patterns brush your skin like old songs. The impulse to shrink, to sabotage, to choose smallness instead of risking the heartbreak of wanting. It's so deeply stitched you can barely hear when it unravels. You tell yourself you should be further, should feel braver, should have said yes to yourself, to the waiting world. But here in the loneliness that only true fear brings, you ache for proof that it's not too late, that you are not the one exception to grace, that there is mercy for the messy, the unfinished, the quietly terrified. Beneath every doubt, a hunger to be forgiven by time, to be blessed even now, even here, even as you are. You become an archaeologist of your own longing, sifting through years for a sign you were worthy all along. Your heart strains toward lightness, and yet you linger in the shadows, mapping secret wounds with trembling hands. There is the child in you who wanted more, still building altars out of wishbones and almosts. And sometimes, underneath everything, you're just tired, not a surface tired, but the bone-deep ache of believing your fear will always win. Perhaps tonight the stars themselves feel heavy. Perhaps tonight fear tastes like longing, salted with all the questions you never let yourself ask. But you are here, listening, remembering. There is a softness to that, a tenderness in naming the ache. Rest now. Not because every fear is solved, but because your soul longs to be witnessed, not fixed. Your story is safe here, even the jagged parts, even the longing, even the fear. There are nights when you can almost taste that old ache, the one that arrives quiet, before words, before any thought can name it. It curls beneath your ribs, subtle as early dusk, steady as the hush that gathers right after you realize you've been wanting, needing something for a very long time. Again, it's here, the same shape of longing, not for more, but for the gentle relief of enough, for the slow melting of that grip inside, the one that's asked you over and over to prove yourself worthy of softness, worthy to ask, worthy to have. Isn't it strange how the story keeps retelling itself? Each day a thread, quietly weaving a familiar pattern inside your chest, is scarcity looping through your thoughts, your body, old self-concepts flickering up like ghosts, whispering, this is all you're allowed. This is what you get for who you are. Stay small, don't ask, don't risk being seen. Your mind knows the words, your body knows the rules. You learned the currency of lack early, maybe in the anxious hush of grown-up voices, or in hurried glances when love felt rationed, meted out only for the good you, the quiet you, the never too much you. You watched and learned it was safer to shrink than to shine, safer to settle than to open. Once, somewhere in your childhood memory, desire was a risky forest. Wanting was dangerous, having was nearly unthinkable. And so the pattern repeats. You catch yourself rehearsing disappointment, holding your breath, bracing for the world to mirror back the limits you've always believed. It's so tender, the ache of not enough. It keeps you up some nights, tracing options, counting, questioning. How could you have missed the turn into abundance? Did you take too long? Did you ask the wrong question? Maybe you hold your hands together, hoping for more but preparing for less. Maybe the scarcity isn't just outside you, it's whispered by the part of you that believes the old stories still set the rules. But you're noticing now, aren't you, a slow waking? The pattern, once invisible, flickers in the edges of your awareness. The way you decline small happiness, the quiet way you back away from delight, the strange comfort of hunger you've lived with for years. Each night, each loop a mirror. It's not punishment, it's not fate. It's a knot of memory looking for your softest gaze. Let yourself breathe here in the hush between want and enough. For tonight, you don't have to solve the puzzle. For tonight, just notice, the pattern waits on your permission to be rewritten. There are truths that move quietly beneath the language you speak to yourself, truths you've known since before your first heartbreak, soft as a memory you aren't even sure was yours. Tonight, there is only one quiet invitation. What if everything that's ever weighed on your heart is asking to become something new? You are not a collection of mistakes, not the abandoned wishes cluttering the corners of your past. You are the alchemist, unseen and awake, stirring old ache into gold with a patience the world might never notice, but your soul always does. Why does this matter now? Because every hour spent struggling with regret is a night you spend away from your own warm becoming. Those stories from the past, fragments of loss or loss of hope, can become the most sacred ingredients in your recipe for now. What weighs you down wants to become what lifts you higher, as if your pain has always been future light, wrapped and waiting for permission. Consider the old tree at the edge of your childhood yard, gnarled, weathered by years and storms, each scar a looping ring in its trunk, a story that could have broken it. Instead, those rings make it strong, a living architecture shaped by everything it survived. You too are strong in ways you cannot always see, grown from what you have outlived. Or imagine the deep blue of the ocean at dusk, both haunted and healed by every storm that's crossed it. The water holds every shadow, every shimmer. Still, it returns to calm after the heaviest rain, like you. Patterned and powerful, shaped and softened, vast enough to be whole again. And the way an old photograph sits quietly in a drawer, unexpectedly found years later. You touch it. The edges are worn, but the image is clearer than you remember. It reminds you the past is both distant and close, but it can always be seen through new eyes. Every memory, even the hardest ones, waits for its own soft re-seeing its place in your power. This is your first truth tonight. Nothing from before was wasted. Not one tear, not one tired hope. Everything aches to return as strength, and all you ever needed to begin was a willingness to be tender with what came before. You are already becoming the alchemist of your own story. Breathe. Let tonight be the beginning. There is a quiet ache behind every plan, the subtle tension of eyes straining toward a future that never quite touches your hand. You know this ache, you've worn it softly, like a favorite shirt. The gentle grip of tomorrows may be drifting just out of reach, but here's a sacred truth that lives inside you. All the abundance you seek has already whispered your name. There is no currency in worry, no gold held in the tightness of your chest. The field of what's next tempts with its mirage, but right here under your ribs is the only place the garden grows. Why does this matter? Because every night spent tangled in future lists takes you farther from the sweet honey of being. Your mind spins gentle webs, what if, when, how, until exhaustion tucks itself beneath your bones. The price is deep. Missing the hum of right now, the pulse of enoughness breathing at your center, the soft certainty that nothing needs to be forced. First, picture an artist poised above a blank canvas, desperate for a masterpiece. She holds her brush so tightly her knuckles pale, her focus locked on a gallery show a year away. The paint never lands easy, but when she lets go, lets her hand move without yesterday or tomorrow, suddenly the colors dance for her. Miracles happen when she surrenders to this breath, painting as if this stroke is enough. Second, think of a seed beneath winter soil. It does not fret about June or the rain that might never come. Its quiet work is right now, letting darkness hold it, letting slow warmth coax a root, trusting that the sky will come in its own hour. There is abundance inside small moments no calendar can name. Third, remember how the tide does not hurry to greet the shore. It arrives in its own rhythm, again and again, not straining to become the next wave or be somewhere it is not. The ocean's wealth comes from trusting the rhythm, not in anxious striving, but the music of return. Let's deepen with another truth. Chasing tomorrow's fullness only teaches emptiness. You feel it in the hunger of unfinished dreams, the ever-widening gap between hope and home. The stampede of what's next can drown out the softness of what's here, until silence is the only medicine the soul remembers. Why does this matter? Because the longing to fix, solve, achieve, it often borrows light from a future that can never truly arrive. Your soul was never meant to be a puzzle to solve, but a garden to tend. The more you reach outside, the farther you walk from the abundance asleep in your own hands. Picture the sun setting on a field, golden against wild grass. It never worries whether morning will keep its promises, never hurries to prove its light. Its only task is to be here, casting warmth, letting the horizon do its quiet work. The gift is in the simple being. Imagine a child building a sandcastle, unhurried by the pull of what might happen next. Each shell, each handful of sand, given fully as if the tide will not one day reclaim it. In her world there is no future to protect, only the adventure of each moment's making. Think of someone lighting a candle in a darkened room, not in a rush for dawn, not pushing the night away. Light lives in trust, in honoring the cycle, in knowing the darkness too is fertile, not a maze but a womb for renewal. Once more, the only abundance you can truly hold lives in the softness of presence. The world will sing 1,000 promises about what tomorrow brings, but your spirit knows nothing real is ever separate from this now. Why does this matter? Because presence is the only door to receiving. When your hands unclench, when your mind walks itself gently home, the things you long for find you. The deepest wealth is not a destination but a way of listening to yourself, to the breath, to the ordinary holiness of just being. Let your story reflect that always. Wander the rooms of your own heart softly tonight. Let wanting rest, let enoughness come home. There is a place inside you, untouched by striving, untouched by the bargain of earning or the prayer for permission. It lives deep under years of should, quiet as snowfall on ancient stones. Here, worth isn't collected or traded, it just is. Your being here, your breath, your pulse, these are enough. You were always enough, and receiving is not a trick or reward. It is as native to you as dreaming in the dark. It matters because the world wants you to forget. It teaches you to prove yourself, to grasp for what already lives within reach. Unworthiness wears many masks: busyness, perfection, settling for crumbs when the whole feast is yours. When you forget your enoughness, you clutch and contract. Abundance slips through tense fingers and life dulls to survival. But remembering, resting into your original worth, that is the pearl, the root, the quiet revolution where everything shifts. Imagine a newborn, bare and blinking in gentle arms. No resume, no credentials, no doing, only presence. The whole room breathes a little slower for this tiny being who gives nothing but being. This is you, beneath all self-doubt, innocence that does not need proof. Picture sunlight pouring through a window, filling a silent room. It asks no permission. It simply arrives, warm and unbound, touching every lonely corner. You are worthy of this light, this effortless receiving. Worth does not come from what you do for the sun. It comes from being part of the world it blesses. Or remember the ocean, immense and endlessly patient. It does not negotiate for the rain. The waves simply open and the sky pours itself in. Receiving is not a skill for the ocean, but an instinct, what it was born for. You were born to receive too. The tide inside you remembers how. Let your bare self mate the world. Let receiving feel unguarded, wild, and natural, like the song of morning birds that never wonder if they deserve to be heard. You are the beloved, you always were. You do not have to earn rain or sun or love. Worth is the ground, receiving is your birthright. Pause to let yourself rest in that truth. This knowing is not fragile. When you claim it, everything else in life softens around you. The right people, doors, moments, all drift closer to your open heart. The world rearranges itself to meet the soul who remembers who they are. Enough exactly as they are, overflowing with breath made for receiving. There is a hush that falls after the journey, the exhale after climbing some unseen ridge inside yourself. Nothing to solve now, nothing to chase, just the tender proof. You have traveled far in sleep and in soul, circling the wild edges of abundance, not as something outside you, but as a pulse beneath your skin. Let everything you've met tonight roll through you, quiet as a tide, all the ache of old scarcity, the soft eruption of new possibility, each shift like rain soaking into long parched roots. You don't need to hold it all at once. Integration works in the quiet, like tree sap in early spring, the truth melting in drop by drop. What changed cannot be unchanged. What softened cannot be made stone again, even if some mornings you forget the shape of your own becoming. It is enough now to rest in this season of regathering. Picture your inner landscape as a forest at dawn, last night's confusion curling away in ribbons of mist. Light pools gently over everything, making even the ordinary things gleam with some secret promise. What has been unlocked will never sleep again, not fully. It will return in flashes. In the curve of your breath, in the slow trust settling in your bones. Your mind may want stories and answers. Your body remembers only the feeling, like the hush before the rain, when the world gently prepares itself for more. Notice the subtle ways you are different now. A softness where you only knew armor, a readiness to deserve what once felt unreachable. If old doubts show up, let them pass through like clouds over a mountain, a shape, a shadow, not the truth. Give your nervous system permission to rest in this lighter air. Tonight, your work is only to allow. Allow the abundance to gather, silent and sure, at your doorstep, like spring returning to a wintered field simply by being. There is nothing to earn from this, nothing to prove or posture or explain to a world hungry for explanations. In this moment, the only thing you owe is kindness to the parts of you still learning to trust. Integration is like sowing seeds in darkness. You do not have to see the sprout to know it's real. Trust the mystery. Trust the slow, inevitable bloom. Tonight, let yourself be gently rewritten by all you've remembered, the older wisdom underneath the distractions, the certainty underneath the fear. As you drift in and out of dreaming, know that every breath is stitching this abundance into your marrow. Each inhale, a little more space. Each exhale, a little more surrender. You are already aligned with the season that is coming, the one where receiving is as effortless as breathing, and enoughness is no longer a question, it is an answer softly spoken. Rest here. Let your integration be gentle, like moonlight across still water, and trust it's already begun. Close your eyes now if you haven't already. Let your breath drift in and out just as it wants. This night is yours. This gentle golden field inside the heart is yours. See yourself standing in a wide, bright landscape, one that is both familiar and new. Light slips through the air, warming your skin, painting everything in soft possibility. Before you a path appears, neither straight nor certain, but softly winding, totally your own. Notice how the ground welcomes you with every step, the earth remembering the feel of your feet, blessing